Good evening and welcome again to Focus on Liberia. My name is Dennis Ja, and tonight we're going to be discussing the National Civil Society Council of Liberia, and my guest is Madam Frances Greaves. Madam, welcome to Focus on Liberia. All right, we just lost our guest, and she will be joining shortly. She will join back shortly.
Oh.
All right.
Hello.
Hello, we can see your video, so just enable your video and so we can start the program.
Okay, I think it's better.
All right, that's perfect. All right, welcome to Focus on Liberia, and Madam Frances Greaves is the chairperson of the National Council of Civil Society of Liberia. Welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you very much.
All right, let's start with, I know we are glad to have you. First of all, thank you for accepting our invitation on such a short notice. So by way of brief introduction, just tell us a little bit, even though we know you as the chairperson, tell us a little bit about yourself, if you don't mind.
My name is Frances Greaves, and I'm the national chairperson. Hello, can you hear me?
Okay, right. We can hear you.
Hello?
We can hear you. Good.
Okay, great. I'm national chairperson. I'm also a human rights defender for women's rights. And I also mentor people in direction, and I do psychosocial counseling. That's for Frances Greaves. As for my responsibility as the chairperson of the National Civil Society Council, we are the apex body of civil society, but realistically speaking, the National Civil Society Council is the apex body, is a national consortium. And basically, we have 15 county councils with 5 regional coordinators. And each of the regional coordinators. Yeah, I'm listening.
Right, your audio is kind of a little delay, but that's fine. We can manage. Let's go back and just tell us a little bit about the National Civil Society Council of Liberia. What is that all about?
The National Civil Society Council is a consortium of civil society around the country, and we have 15 county councils. The National Civil Society Council is a council that was elected. All the leaders are elected by peers in the various counties. The 15 county councils are elected by the civil society groups in each of the counties. And the national headquarters, the 15 county councils sends delegation to a general assembly where the national leaders are elected.
All right. Let's you use a very key word, civil society or civil society organization. What is that?
Civil society organizations are non-state actors. And we are almost like, I should say, how the press look like the watchdog in society, because we are the bridge, as I always say, between government and the community. There are things that government do not know about the people, but those that work in the communities can inform government about what's happening. Okay. So that's what civil society is all about. We ensure that we have coordination, information dissemination, and guidance. The National Civil Society Council itself has 4 pillars because our members are the ones that implement most of the programs. But for the council itself, what we do is coordination. We also engage in capacity building of our members. Okay. We are also into policy advocacy as well as monitoring and evaluation.
Give me some example of a civil society organization in Liberia.
For example, civil society organizations, I'm sure you're aware of this group that Kofi Woods founded called Foundation for International Dignity.
Right.
Yeah, they are one of our members. The group that just went to Geneva for the Liberia reporting on human rights, human rights platform,
right,
is also a member of the council. The YWC is also a member of the council.
That's good. And so you have members or you have organizations in all 15 counties?
Yes, we do. We have national organizations, we have local organizations, we have faith-based organizations, all members of the council.
Okay. So briefly discuss for those of us, the function. I know you talk about the function, but expand a little more on that. On the function. Yeah.
Our function is to help to coordinate civil society throughout the length and breadth of Liberia, and also to give a national voice to issues. So most often we come together as a team to ensure that information and other issues that affect our nation, we are able to engage government as well as local partners to ensure that those information are disseminated to the grassroots. For example, the government of Liberia now under President George Weah is in the process of developing a development agenda. Okay. To be able to do that, civil society has been engaged because, like I said to you, we are the bridge between government and the people. So work that we have been doing based on information that we have, we share it with government in the evolution of our development plan.
So you help government come up with a development plan?
Not only a development plan. For example, in 2014, during the Ebola, it was civil society that assisted the government of Liberia to recraft her messages. Because initially, when the Ebola was going on, the messages that was going out from the Ministry of Information was that you should not touch any of your sick relatives. But what happened was that people were abandoning their relatives and the relatives were dying. And you know the way our families are closely knitted in Liberia. So we met with the Minister of Information, then the permanent representative now, Louis Brown, and we told him that we didn't think the information was right. And so we helped to craft the information. And that's when people started to use black plastic and other things. They could treat their people, but they could do it protectively.
Oh, wow, that's impressive. But in Liberia, where most things are easily politicized, how do you draw that line between politics and and what you do? Or do you?
Well, for example, the civic voters education during the election last year, a lot of civil society organizations were involved to ensure that the people got the right information as to how they should go about the registration process as well as the voting process. Okay. So to be able to draw the line, I can give you an example. Sure. We are non-political and we engage in, we work with different stakeholders. For example, we work with the Election Commission last year to ensure information dissemination. We also work with other international observer groups that came in to observe the elections in Liberia. So we have an understanding that once you are a member of civil society, you should not get engaged in political affairs. For example, in 2015, we had our elections and I was elected for the second tenure. And my vice chair, Mr. Prince Crippler, decided that he wanted to run for a political office last year, but he had to resign because if stakeholders must trust you, right, they must know that you are not into politics. Because at the end of the day, wherever there are friction, you are supposed to be a mediator. So to be a mediator, you must be trusted and they must be able to have a proven record that you can be trusted.
You're right. Part of your mission is, according to what I read from your website, is to foster partnership. Who are some of your partners, and in what way do you in what way you partner with them or collaborate with them?
Well, we have several partners. Like I said, first of all, in 2016, under the former government, we signed a partnership framework where ministries and agencies work along with various civil society that work on different niches. For example, strengthening coordination in terms of education. The council has 17 thematic focus groups, and those 17 thematic groups work along with government at the different ministry and agencies. You have thematic group on education that partner with government on issues of education. For example, if this agenda for development is finalized, to get it disseminated properly to the people, civil society will be able to partner in our awareness and advocacy.
Good. If you are just joining us, this is Focus on Liberia. Our guest is Madam Frances Greaves. She's the chairperson of the National Council, the National Civil Society Council of Liberia, who is visiting us here in the United States, and we are privileged to have her. Continue our, I know this organization, or the National Civil Society Council, was established in 2014. Since
2012.
2012.
2012.
Since 2012 till now, just walk me through some of your activities or your track records and some of your achievements since that time.
Well, for example, under the Liberia initiative to review the Constitution, where they had a Constitution review process, there came a time where dissemination of information from the Constitution Review Committee was not getting out to the people. And so we signed an MOU with the Constitutional Review Committee to disseminate the information. And we held several workshops and different community meetings to ensure that the Liberian people understood what the Constitution review process was all about. Mm-hmm. We also had a partnership with the Law Reform Committee, and the Law Reform Commission is supposed to review existing laws of Liberia to ensure that the laws are not in disproportion to the reality. Right. A lot of our laws are good, but some of them are obsolete, and so they are reviewing the laws. So an awareness in partnership with the Liberia Bar Association and the Law Reform Committee to be able to talk, because you see, civil society groups have different tribal groups part of it, okay? Right. One the tribal groups, because we are in 15 counties, civil society speaks the dialect of the people. So right. That way, when you have this town hall meeting, people can talk to people on their terms right. That they will understand.
That's a big job you're doing. Where you get money from, or how you support it?
Well, we have several partners. For example, I mentioned that one of our thematic focus is monitor evaluation. For over 6 to 8 months, we had a partnership with the Economic Community of West African States in Liberia to monitor organizations receiving support or grants from them to implement projects on peace, elections, as well as mediation. So we monitor them to ensure that whatever was placed into the concept that was submitted and approved by ECOWAS was carried out fully. And as a result of that, we did 2, and that was a project supported by the EU to ECOWAS. So those are how we get our money. We do, in terms of coordination, we also do proposals because we are not in government budget or in anybody's budget. We do proposals, and also the membership dues of the members is what keep the council running.
Are you being paid? Are you on salary as a president?
No, my dear.
Oh, okay.
I have my own organization. It's my organization that have me here.
All right. Okay. I'm starting to get questions from our viewers on Facebook, but before I go to Facebook, let me ask you, just tell me again about the structure of this organization and how, even you told me about those 4 pillars and the thematic areas that they work on. Give me an idea about the structure and how each of you kind of work.
Okay, the National Civil Society Council, as I said, is a national consortium. At our last count of our membership, we have 1,454 members, organizations, not individuals, because you cannot be a member of the council without being head of an organization.
Right.
And the National Council, as I said, are elected individuals by fellow civil society actors. We are elected for 3 years. And I was elected first in 2012. I ran on the council until 2015. In 2015, I was additionally, we have county councils that are also elected by county civil society organizations. And those county council comprises of 5 leaders that coordinate civil society in each of the county. You have the chairperson, the vice chair, the treasurer, and 2 persons referred to as member at large. Now, most times a member at large does not have particular function, but according to the Constitution, they can carry out responsibility that are given to them by the county council leadership. And that same structure is also at the national level. You have the national chairperson, which I am. You have a national vice chair, a national treasurer, and 2 national members at large. Additionally, in terms of the structure, we have 3 counties supervised by a particular individual referred to as regional coordinators. So the country is divided into 5 regions, and each of the region has a regional coordinator that coordinates. And a regional coordinator is basically like a show that the county councils are able to function properly. And those regional coordinators are part of the National Executive Committee that I head, and we meet quarterly to review the work of each of us, and we report to the General Assembly annually.
Okay. How is your, I know you started in 2012 under President Sirleaf and now under President George Weah. How is your work with the government? Even though the presidency, the current administration is relatively young, but how do you compare? Is there any pushback, or how is the cooperation?
Well, I should say we have a very good relationship, because about 3 months ago, I was appointed to serve on a committee along with several others on this local issue based on the Global Witness Report. Okay. We also, as I said to you earlier, are also discussing along with government the development of the national agenda, because as Liberian civil society actors, no matter what you're doing, you cannot divorce yourself from the government's agenda per se. because the agenda is what drives the development process. For example, if you're civil society working on health, you cannot do health issues without knowing what government want to achieve under her health pillar, right?
Yeah.
So you will take the health pillar, review it, and if you have to do advocacy, you do it. If you have to engage the Ministry of Health to review whether or not they are performing the task, you have to use the agenda. So there's no way you can perform your civil society duty without looking at the agenda, the agenda that government has crafted. So it's like a review process of different agenda, of the different policies that government put in place to see how it's being implemented.
Do you criticize government as, hey, government, you are doing this wrong, or you're supposed to do X, Y, Z?
Yes, we do. But let me say this: the National Council, which I head, as I said, is a supervisory body, and we have different thematic groups. Mm-hmm. Now, for example, we have civil society groups whose focus is on governance. Right. We have civil society groups that focus on human rights. We have civil society groups that focus on accountability and transparency. Now, what happens is that most often, those who are head of these different niche institutions raise the issue. And where there's a need to buttress them in ensuring that it brings a national flavor, that's where we come in. Because we do not compete with our members. Right. We give them the opportunity to perform the task.
Good. Now let's go to Facebook, and there are questions. Telly Brown from Staten Island, New York, say, with your advocacy and monitoring functions of pillars, what is your position on the code of conduct relative to asset declaration as a deterrent to potential corruption by government officials? I knew that one was coming.
Well, like we all as Liberians know that one of the very hard challenges that we have in Liberia is implementation of laws. And most of the organizations that have focused on governance as well as accountability and transparency have been raising issues. For example, CENTAL, which is the Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia, just issued a report that we endorse as the council, raising issues on the lack of submission of the government officials of the declaration of assets.
Right.
So, as I said earlier, we buttress our members because our pillar is to coordinate, and where there are friction between institutions, where we can serve as mediators, we intervene.
Okay, good. Another question from Facebook, and that is from Saki Golafale. He says, what is the difference between the agenda for transformation developed by the previous government and this government development agenda?
Well, most often governments come with a plan that they want to achieve because their plan is based on what you told the people during the election process. So right now, this government is developing a plan. If you had listened to President Weah when he gave his short statement a few days ago, mentioned that in as much as there's a problem with the economy, the government is drive the process. That agenda, it will determine how the development
we lost you a little bit.
Process in mind for the people of Liberia. In other words,
we lost you a little bit. If you can repeat that.
transformation.
Can you hear me? I'm not hearing you. All right, if you're just joining us, this is Focus on Liberia. Our guest is Madam Frances Greaves, and we are discussing the National Civil Society Council of Liberia. We seem to be at the moment, there could be a technical difficulty. Frances, can you hear me? You can unmute your microphone so you can talk. All right. Okay. Say something. Let me see if I can hear you.
Hello?
All right. Now we can hear you. If you can just go over your last statement. We can hear you now. Please go over your last statement concerning the question.
Hello?
Hello, I can hear you. You are logged in twice. So
Hello?
hello, I can hear you.
Okay, there was a background sound that was giving me problem.
Yes, because you are connected 2 times, so you are hearing yourself. But let's go back to our question from Saki Golafale. Your answer was about the difference. I want to see Saki question. Again, he says, what is the difference between the agenda for transformation developed by previous government and President Weah's development agenda? You were responding to that, but we couldn't get you clearly.
I said, and I hope you can hear me now.
Yes, perfect.
Okay. I said that the agenda for transformation is the United Party's development agenda, and it had a lifespan of 5 years and came to an end in 2017.
Okay.
With Madam Salif. So now that you have a new government, that government, based on the election promises that was made, has to craft an agenda, and that is what they're doing now. For example, a few days ago, President Weah was on the radio discussing the economic situation.
Right.
And he informed the Liberian people that they almost finished with the crafting of their agenda for development agenda, and that will align itself with a lot of the challenges that is faced by government and the people.
And that's the pro-poor agenda.
That's the pro-poor agenda, exactly.
Oh, okay. And I know as other questions come, we'll ask them. But let's talk about what you're currently doing in the United States. I know I learned you were at the Carter Center going to publish. What you doing?
My organization, known as Voice of the Voiceless, is a women's rights organization, and we focus on strengthening the capacity of women to defend issues affecting them. I am a member of the Carter Center Human Rights Defenders Forum, and this is my 3rd year attending, and that's why I'm here.
Okay, so how does that work, or that training or whatever you're doing, help with your work in the National Civil Society Council of Liberia?
Like I said, the work I'm doing here is for voice of the voiceless. Notwithstanding, it helps to guide me in the work I do as chairperson of the Civil Society Council. Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
Because one of the things is that we are shown indicators and we share experience with other human rights actors around the world. We are about 86 attending this forum, and we have a time of sharing our various experiences in our various countries.
There's a question here from Dave Jai. He says, in which areas of your interactions with government do you find more challenging?
Wow.
And I want to also add, you also find very exciting.
Thank you. But like I said to you, from the very inception of this government, we made them to know that we were ready to work along with them and ensure that we keep our country in the right trajectory. Okay. Against that backdrop, we've partnered with government in so many ways. For example, I was appointed by President Weah to serve on the committee that investigated the Global Witness report a few months ago. Okay. So if you go on the Executive Management website, you will see the photo and you'll see my face there. So we are available if we are called upon. Notwithstanding, like I said earlier, our various organizations that are part of the council also work with various government ministries and agencies based on the niche that they use in their various institutions. People working on accountability and transparency, governance, etc., are working with the government of Liberia. And we are there to push them to ensure that the relationship that we all anticipate continue to remain smooth.
You mentioned about the Global Witness report. You mind to share how far that has gone? We never heard anything again.
Well, the report was submitted, and President Weah said that he was going to implement it. But one of the things that we called for was a forensic audit of NOCAL, which has not been done, but people have been appointed there. Again, recommendations are made to people, and it's up to the individual that the recommendation is made to for implementation. We did our work.
That is fair. In August 2017, there was a one-day colloquium bringing together the LACC, that is the Anti-Corruption Commission, the civil society organizations, whistleblower and witness protections. They had that, and the goal was to kind of strengthen the hands of what they call the integrity institutions. What has been the impact of that seminar?
Don't forget that 2017 was an election year.
Okay.
A lot of the things that came out had to slow down because of the transition. Okay. However, I know that the Anti-Corruption Commission is pushing now for the implementation of that process. They've also set up what is known as youth dynamic groups to train the youth on the various aspects of corruption, what to look for and what are the triggers. So right now they have several youth groups in different schools.
All right. We are in the diaspora, and in the diaspora we have some organizations as well. Do you in any way collaborate or work any way, shape or form whatsoever with any diaspora organization?
Well, let me say, since our ascension to leadership, we've not really had a dynamic relationship like this. However, in 2016, when the people of the diaspora was pushing for dual citizenship and they had a one-day conference, we were part of the discussion to see how the process of ensuring that our people in the countryside got the information to determine what would be the aftermath or what would be the final decision. However, after the conference, because it was the year prior to election, a lot of things that should have been put in place were never put in place. I hear that they want to continue that, so I look forward to them calling on us to do whatever we can do. Additionally, the different initiatives in Liberia pertaining to the War Crimes Court, organizations in Monrovia that's also partnering with people in the diaspora have reached out to the council because, like I said, we are council and we are interested in whatever good thing will come to Liberia. And we are also interested in holding people accountable for whatever it is that it needs to be held accountable for. Because there is no one who is infallible, and we must be able to give account of our various acts. So against that backdrop, we've worked with organizations in Monrovia to help in coordination, because coordination is one of our niches as a council. There was a sporadic outburst calling for the War Crimes Code from different actors. We had a meeting about 2 months ago where we asked them to try to see how they can consolidate. Because if you want the international community or anybody to see what you're doing as a respectable initiative, right, you have to be concise, and you also have to have a plan. So we called them to that discussion, and they were able to agree. And about a week ago, they had several dialogues starting.
All right. If you're just joining us, this is Focus on Liberia. We are discussing the National Civil Society Council in Liberia. Our guest is the chairperson, Madam Frances Greaves. And Madam Greaves, there are other ways that most people in the diaspora thinks that we want, like even people that go back with businesses, people that go back with other projects in their heads. In how can we find you if we want to, if we need your help in getting whatsoever?
The National Civil Society Council has its national headquarters next to adjacent the National Police Station, and opposite the gas company called Shimex. It's not hard to find. We are in a top building, and the name of the building is Mission House.
Okay, so in what areas can you work with us from the diaspora?
Like I said, we work in terms of coordination, monetary evaluation. You know, a lot of things have happened. Excuse me. People from the diaspora have taken initiative to work in Liberia. But one of the things that we've observed is that some of them are not on the ground, and they contract people to do work for them. By the end of the day, they get duped. So that's another initiative that we put in place to see how the council can partner with people who want to do work on the ground, but we can also ensure that those who are being used to implement those actions on the ground are accountable to whoever is taking this initiative.
Let me give you another example. I think it was almost a year now. Within 1 year, Liberians on the temporary protective status, their stay in the U.S. will expire. We are hoping that they can find other means to renew or get permanent resident status, or they will be sent back. In that area, so you may have maybe 1,000 or more worst case scenario coming back to Liberia. In what way can you help? I was even thinking about something like, well, can you give us duty free so that we can bring our stuff back?
But you know, giving duty free is not in my purview. It's a government thing.
Right, but how can you help? Like even building or giving us a place.
I understand. I think what you guys need to do is to begin to plan in the event that the government of the United States does not extend it. And what do I mean? Do a scoping study. Send a delegation to Liberia to do a scoping study to identify possible places that could be utilized in the event of that. That's one thing. The second thing that also needs to be put in place is to have a relationship with the government of Liberia through the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning to ensure that even if you do not have a total waiver, you can have a minimum payment in terms of getting your goods to your country.
Right.
Lastly, you could also work with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to ensure that even if the renewal is not done, there will be a phase out to which your transition will be smooth enough to ensure that you have a place that you can transition, you and your family.
Someone on TPS may not be able to do that. Can you help? You know,
Well,
liaise.
I will have to find out, because I do know that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs under Madam Salif took some initiatives, and those initiatives were still being pushed by the present Minister of Foreign Affairs. So when I return to Liberia, what I will do, I will go to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and engage the Deputy Minister for Legal Affairs, Madam Greaves, and find out the status. Fortunately, we are connected now on Facebook, right. So I can I can send a text message or whatever, inbox you to let you know what she said about whatever is happening.
We'll greatly appreciate that. I have another question on Facebook from Dave Jai again. He said, what further steps can your organization take if government fails to be transparent, prosecute corruption, and improve the quality of life of our people? Can you call for civil strikes, etc., etc.?
Civil society has been civil society. If you can recall, civil society at that time were not structured as we are now. And when situation occurred in 2003, when the war was getting so hard, it was civil society that began to put pressure. So depending on the circumstances, indeed, individual organization can relate to the council and can work as a team to raise awareness, which is already starting, like I said to you earlier. Okay. The Center for Transparency and Accountability just released the report, and I will forward that report to you.
Okay.
So that's an initial. Other governance groups are working on different initiatives. For example, you have the Land Rights Working Group pushing for the passage of the land rights law that will return land back to the communal people. So there are a lot of things that civil society is doing, and we need to manage the process. We don't want to be all over the place doing everything and doing nothing at the end of the day. Right. So you have to manage it in a way where at the end of the day, you can measure the impact, and then you'll know exactly what it is that you have achieved. Because if there's no achievement, then there was no use of having an institution in the first place.
Yeah, that is correct. All right, and once again, we really appreciate your time here. A lot of us in the diaspora don't know, unfortunately, don't know about your organization.
Yeah, unfortunately, we had a challenge last year where our website was hacked, so we are rebuilding it. And if there's anything anybody in the diaspora can do to help us so you can be informed, we will highly appreciate that.
What are you looking for? We got people here, we got IT people.
Yeah, because we have a lot of information on the work we're doing, especially the grassroots organization in the counties. We want to showcase them, because what is happening is that because of the lack of information dissemination, most of the big organizations that have made their names over the years in Monrovia are the one that's taking the credits. So we want to see how the local institutions in the counties can also be showcased.
Yeah.
So that was what we were doing with our website before it got hacked.
All right. Yeah, I see. Even on the there were some people who were volunteering to help with the executive mansion website. So I know I'm going to pass your information to Mr. Emmanuel Wetty, who has been volunteering to help with the executive mansion website and see what he can do so that he can help with your website, and we can make that information or focus on Liberia for whatever help that we can give.
No problem. We look forward to that. That's why I think as Liberians, each of us need to help one another if we want to make our country a better country.
Yeah. Yeah, most of the time people complain that, you know, like when you leave here, we have 2 weeks break off our work. So when you go back and want to do things so fast, they complain of some roadblocks and all these things. But
no, but what you do, fortunately for me now, I'm connected to both Stephanie and Lovetta.
right.
And Lovetta has my local contact in Monrovia. So just in the event that you want to see what we can do to assist in any way, she can give my local contact to you.
Right, and you mean Lovetta Tugbe?
Tugbe, yes.
Right, from the coalition, the war crimes girl.
Yeah, the war crimes girl.
All right, maybe in the future you can establish a diaspora office. Who knows?
Well, that would be a very good initiative. We can discuss that.
Right, because there are a lot of organizations here in the diaspora, and one thing I find is we duplicate most of the things that we do. So you find 10 organizations doing the same thing.
It's the same thing in Monrovia, my dear. The thing is, let me say this to you. One of the challenges that we had over the years is that many a times when people go to Monrovia to do work or to Liberia to do work, they do not identify what has been done.
Yeah.
So you find a lot of replication and duplication has taken place, and the impact is very minute.
Yeah.
And what we have been arguing is, look, let's identify people that are doing certain work, and whoever wants to come, you come in and build on what has been done. That way the impact will be great. But again, human nature, everybody wants to have their own turf. So you can't blame anybody.
Bishop Maria once said, all the ship went to Liberia, but partnership is the only ship that refused. But by the work we're doing and by what we try to do on Focus on Liberia, we hope that we can achieve that where people can partner.
We look forward to that.
All right. And again, we thank you so much. If you have any final thoughts.
My final thoughts and final words to us Liberians that are in the United States is that you have to show love for your country. The thing is, whatever we Liberians say about our country will be what foreigners would take our country to be. No matter the challenges that we have as a people, we need to understand that we only have one country, and our country is Liberia. And so it behooves us, especially those of us between the ages of 55 to 25. We have a lot of work to do because the young people do not understand about our country, and except we teach them and make them to understand what Liberia is all about, they will have no idea what the country is. They will only know that they are Liberians. So we now need to identify ways that we can strengthen whatever is happening. For example, we have a new government. What are the things that need to be done to strengthen the government? What are the areas that people in the diaspora can buttress government in her implementation? Nobody was born knowing things about government. Everybody has to learn. So learning process is what's happening in Liberia, because a lot of the people that are being appointed in the government now have never worked for government before, notwithstanding they have good intention to want to help the country. So I think this is the time that we need to look at what needs to be done and how each Liberian can make a difference in making sure that Liberia do not resort to her past of violence, but making sure that we work with one another.
Right, and that's I want to respond to that, because that's what we hear. Okay, what can you do to help the government? But most of the time, and I give you an example. There's a friend of mine who came from Liberia and said, you know, there are so many things to be done. He said, when you drive from Robertsfield to Monrovia, there is, and you want, you know, there is no toilet facilities on the way. So going there, if you need to attend to nature and you get down, where do you go? So
well, I do know that Total has erected few filling stations within the range, and each of the total stations has a bathroom for both male and female. But notwithstanding, you know, most of the different land along that route are individual land.
Yeah.
So what needs to happen is to see how Liberians as a whole can work together, and that's a partnership that we need to. Because again, the approach is what we need to reflect on. How do we do it? Most times, to be very frank with you, I have a lot of people I went to school with and friends that left Liberia and are in the States and they come back. But many a times, sometimes when they go, they act as though those of us who stayed on the ground and kept Liberia functional, we know nothing. And I have heard many of my colleagues back home say to you, look, not because you're from America, you feel you got all the answers, you don't know the local situation.
Right.
So what they need to do is identify people on the ground that understand what's happening, and then we can identify what it is we can do together. You talk about, apart from having toilets facilities along the Robert Street Highway, there are many areas in the country that are dark. How can we probably even develop or work together and get solar panels for places that are not safe?
Right.
You know, how can we even work to ensure that an initiative is taken where people in the diaspora, maybe because the Liberian community in the States is very big.
Yeah.
How can maybe even every state can take one initiative? For example, the Ministry of Health needs to have medication for all her clinics and hospital facilities around the country. Can a group of Liberians in a state say we will undertake issues around health to buttress what's happening?
Right, and that's
you say we will buttress education.
And that's what I was coming. That's what I was coming to. So a group say we want to help with health, okay?
Yeah, but you need to do a feasibility study first to know what's there and what's not there, and based on that,
who do we contact? Is there a body on the ground that can coordinate?
I can start a process with you all because of the partnership that we've already started with the government of Liberia through the Liberia Civil Society Government of Liberia Policy Framework. There's a lot that can be done, but we need to do it in a way where it will be accountable, where people will, if they're committing themselves, they do not misrepresent you. Because for me, let me be very frank with you, Dennis, my reputation and the principle I stand by is what has brought me to where I am. So I have no intention of compromising that with anybody. And I tell people every day, I'm not here because of what people can give me. Many a times, I mean, why you are not paying, why they're not paying as civil society? I say, because I believe in what JFK said to the American people many years ago. Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. We talk about America being great. America is great because there were Americans that paid the price.
Yeah.
Can a few Liberians within the age sector that I told you about, 55 to 25, make a difference? We need to pick up a bootstrap and move forward.
You're right. No, that is true. And I give you an example, you know, and I don't want to be personal here or promote what I do, but my organization published a book, this book called The Foundational Words of Our Nation. It contains our foundational documents, right? So what we tried to do was to take it to Liberia and say, hey, use this book. But even things like that is so difficult.
No, let me say this to you. What needs to happen is to have a concise documentation of our historical context.
Right.
Over the period of time, everybody have taken initiative to either write something about Liberia or what have you. What needs to happen if you are 10 Liberian historians in America? Can they come together? You know the pieces you have, you bring it to the table. I know what I have, I bring it to the table. And then we develop a holistic historical context. Because right now, you know, Fortunately for some of us who went to school prior to the 1980, and when you went to school in Liberia prior to 1980, whether you're in government school or you are in private school, there were certain things that you learned.
Yeah.
So that has helped some of the people. But after 1980, when civics were taken out of the schools, a lot of those who find themselves leading never did civics.
Right.
So in terms of governmental structures and issues around government, that's one of the problems we have had, because a lot of people never understood what it meant to have government and the three branches of government. That's why sometimes you even have situations where people in the legislature, they do things haphazardly, and they don't feel that they owe allegiance to those who put them in power.
Right.
It's all because they never learn it. And what you are taught over a period of time becomes a part of you. Yeah. Unfortunately, that was not taught them, so you don't expect them to know it. You see? So those are the kind of things, and a lot of the Liberians in back home, they respect the diaspora. How can the diaspora also hold people in leadership accountable? They come here, they say, oh, we need this, you raise money. Yes, it's good to help your country, but are you holding them accountable for whatever you give in?
Yeah.
So there are many things that we can do together, and we just need to look at
how we can partner. That's very true, because it's a challenge, and sometimes we talk past each other. The blames going around and things.
I think we point fingers too much. It's time to put a head down.
and show the palm, right? All right.
Yeah.
It's been a very fruitful, action and conversation. We really appreciate. Let me see if I want.
I do appreciate this. I think the information that you've received is welcoming. You have my email address. If there's any information that you think you want us to assist in getting for you, we'll see what we can do.
I don't want to, I still have questions coming. I don't want to keep you too long.
Can you send them by email to me? I can respond them to you and then send it back.
Yeah, just one question from Jimmy Eastman. Wouldn't it be better if the critical needs and a few key projects are identified beforehand, so that those who want to help can select where they can best help and make a difference?
All right, what I can do for you, I can make contact when I get back home. I'm going back. I'll be back in Monrovia by the weekend. Okay. So I'll make some contacts early next week and probably send you an email or send it through Lavetta or Stephanie, wherever, so that we can see how we can work or something.
Thank you so much. And I don't want to keep you any longer. It's been a pleasure discussing.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
Okay, don't forget now, my 26.
I am so you don't want to funny.
All right. Oh, you're going back tomorrow. So oops.
I'm leaving next week.
Okay.
So,
all right. But I want to say thank you so much in a special way. I want to thank all our guests, our audience, those watching. I want to thank big thank you from all of us here, my crew, my producer, also my guest relations manager, and also my co-host. We want to say thank you and thank for all of those that are watching us. We will keep your contact, and anything, we know where to find you.
Thank you. It was a pleasure talking to you myself. And I wish all those who were online listening a happy 26th.
Thank you so much.
Okay, bye-bye.